Well, it's been a little while since we've had any Young Justice news, and over the last month or so, a couple little things have trickled out, so I thought we'd talk some Young Justice and what Greg and some of the other creative team have been up to and what that could mean for the future of the show. Let's dive in. Well guys, I read every single comment, and I see a lot of you guys asking for updates to Young Justice. Even though there has been very little on the Season 5 front, I wanted to try to give you guys a bit of a monthly update, try to review what's going on, and maybe even eventually uncover some solid leads on a potential 5th season. We're going to try to do one of these Young Justice newsletters every month in this video format, so make sure you stay tuned and hit subscribe because I know you guys want to know what's going on. Now, as many of you know, the main source for pretty much everything Young Justice, an official source, is the showrunner Greg Wisman. Greg has always been spectacular about covering the show over on Twitter, giving us real updates, and being very transparent with fans on what's going on behind the scenes and potential new seasons. Now, sadly, in the last month, there really hasn't been a lot of Young Justice stuff. But Greg's account still remains pretty busy. Now, in the last month, he's mostly been covering Gargoyles. In case you didn't know, Wisman has created some pretty well-known franchises, with Gargoyles also being at the top of the list with Young Justice and Spectacular Spider-Man. Now, if you're a Gargoyles fan, there's a ton going on, because we've recently got the new Gargoyles Dark Ages comic, as well as an announcement that James Wan was developing a live-action movie. All of this is big news for Greg Wisman, and with all this new stuff, Greg has been promoting it pretty heavy, and most of his account, at least in the last month or so, has been focused on that. But there have been a few Young Justice updates. Most of these have been pretty minor and come in the form of character ads, which he posts on Twitter and also over on Ask Greg. Now, there have been some interesting details that have come out of this that have raised a few eyebrows. Some of the names we've gotten in the last month are pretty familiar, like Freddie Freeman, who we got to finally meet in the last issue of Targets, or even Richard Dragon, who you had to pay close attention because he came in the form of a poster cameo in the very first Young Justice comic. Look for it on the wall in Wally's room. But probably the big thing that caught everybody's attention in the last month is Rick Grayson. Did I just say Rick Grayson? Yeah, I said Rick Grayson. But you can relax, because Rick, as well as a couple of other Graysons, are all part of the Earth 16 Flying Grayson family. Now, these characters were detailed in Volume 2, Issue 6 of the comic, and it was a little interesting to me because some of these names I hadn't heard before. Typically, it was always very clear that Dick lost his father John and his mother Mary in that tragic accident, but there was also 3 other Graysons involved in that, and 2 of them died, and 1 of them lived and is actually paralyzed. Now, in the accident, there was also his aunt Carla Grayson, his cousin John Grayson, who was named after his father, and then finally his uncle Rick. Now, on Earth 16, Rick was permanently paralyzed in that same accident that killed his son, his wife, his brother, and his sister-in-law. And due to these injuries, it left him unable to care for his orphan nephew. This is how Dick Grayson on Earth 16 ended up with Bruce Wayne, which is a pretty interesting part of his history, but the fact that Dick has an uncle that's still alive, I would love to see that play into future stories, potentially in Season 5. The whole expanded Grayson family and their influence being felt in that issue is something, if you haven't read it before, I highly recommend it. Grayson's history in the comics is awesome, and this is even a more fleshed out version of it from Greg and team, and I absolutely think it makes Earth 16's Nightwing a bit more understandable. Now, one of the other places we occasionally get some ideas on the future of Young Justice is from artist Christopher Jones. Now, Chris is a great guy and another one of those guys on social media who is very responsive to fans. And in the last month, he made a trip to New York Comic Con, and if you were there, you may have noticed he had quite a few pieces of art that were Young Justice focused. Probably my 2 favorite were the Bat Family piece and also Bowhunter Security, which needs to be on a t-shirt. And although he also didn't have any official news on Season 5, he still appears pretty optimistic. Now, as for any other updates, we really haven't heard anything from Warner Bros. Animation, DC Studios, or even one of the potential landing places like Amazon or Netflix. Remember, the show is not really canceled, just the Season 5 has never been ordered, and since HBO Max is going to be carrying pretty much exclusively DCU content, well, Warner Bros. And DC Studios has been farming out a lot of their other stuff, and now that we're starting to get some premiere dates, because Merry Little Batman is coming our way in December, well, the doors for Young Justice start opening up, and I'm sure if some of these upcoming series do well, there will be more interest from other streaming platforms. We're going to continue to do this newsletter every month. Also, check out our Young Justice Explained series, which will dive into the history of the show. The first episode is posted, and it dives into all those Young Justice toys that are so much fun. There's a ton of links down below for you to support the show. The best way to do this is in the form of maybe buying a couple of comics, action figures, or anything Young Justice related. Remember, when we put our money where our mouth is, that's what gets Warner Brothers Animation to pay attention. See you soon.